Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host and the greatest wrestler alive, Don Caster, joined as always by the five-tool player, Joshy Bowens. Today, we're covering Friday Night SmackDown for 4th of July. Let's get it, fam.
Scissor me.
Oh, no.
We were the Acclaimed.
That's true. It's true. For some reason, I was still like, nah, when you said it. You hang up. No, you hang up.
No, you hang up.
No, you hang up. Okay.
That is a reference to our first segment of this episode of SmackDown, where Cody Rhodes comes out, and I would love to say briefly explains what his King of the Ring win means to him, but long story short, it represents his opportunity to face the undisputed champion John Cena at SummerSlam. And after speaking for a bit about that, we get the Viper Randy Orton's music playing. And he doesn't come out looking friendly. So we're like, oh man, it's going to be RKO City.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Randy Orton arrives and basically acknowledges that for weeks they both were talking about how they're not going to hesitate, and the difference was that Cody actually pulled the trigger, and he goes on to say that for that he respects him, but then he wants to elicit a promise from Cody that he won't squander the opportunity and he's going to kick John Cena's ass. And shortly after that, the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre, who hasn't been seen for a little bit, reappears. And, this next part I think you were speaking to at the beginning.
Yeah, just mocks them. You hang up. No, you hang up. No, you just said they sound. That's what they sounded like to him. And I think he called them a couple of beta males, or basically he was like, "What's going on with all the beta male
energy?" Yep.
Yeah, but apparently, Daddy Drew was back, and so we can all get in line. But he comes out and he's mocking both of the men, and he actually said that he hoped that Cody wins the undisputed title from John Cena so that he could take it from him. I don't know what that says to anybody else in the ring, but I mean, he literally just looked at Cody and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna whoop your ass. So hope you get it." So,
yep,
that was good.
It was. I believe he finished off that series of insults to Cody Rhodes by saying, "And I won't hesitate, unlike somebody." And he turns back to Randy Orton and then eats an RKO to close that particular segment.
From out of nowhere.
I can't hate on any segment that ends in somebody getting RKO'd from out of nowhere. That was fun. Yeah, I liked it.
We just watched a whole video of cats RKO and other cats just because, from out of nowhere, guys. So yeah, I was very happy about it.
Nowhere.
Yeah. And then, actually, what do you think about Cody even going after this belt again, or even having the opportunity?
I feel like the rematch is inevitable.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like it's a little too pat for Cody to just come back and win it. I mean, that might be the direction they choose to go, but I don't know. They're going to have to mix in some extra interest into this particular arc for me. Because, I mean, while John Cena's heel run has been absolutely terrible, another absolutely baby-faced but boring Cody run doesn't sound super appealing. So they're going to have to like change the formula or something a bit
Yeah.
to make it more interesting.
Or
At
maybe,
least that's my
yeah.
feelings on it.
I you know I kind of feel like Cody's gonna go heel eventually. Like all roads, right? All roads lead to heel. Um, but I don't know if A, it's time for that now, and B, I don't know if I will be happy with him having the belt until he becomes a heel. Because I'm just kind of bored with the good guy Cody. The pastor Cody vibe. Um and I think a lot of the fans are too. And I mean his run was pretty stale. No offense. Maybe we were used to the high octane, high drama that came with the bloodline essentially controlling the belt. But whenever Cody got it, it just kind of, it would be more of the same in my opinion if he were to get the belt again. It would just be more of what we just got out of. And as bad and boring and slightly annoying as John Cena's heel run has been, this is the most entertaining the belt has been in a while. Or like the race for the belt. At least something's happening there. So,
Well, yes and no, in my opinion, because like when they built up Roman Reigns as this unstoppable force, like just the heel champion that could not be taken down, it naturally created an interest to see if anybody would be able to pull it off. And when it finally did, it was good. What they're doing with John Cena is less that and more like, oh, good, we can finally make him shut up and stop having to watch these formulaic bullshit matches again. Like it's the appeal of the end of his run is not that he's been built into a fantastic villain that everyone would like to see toppled. It's more like his performances have been so bad that we're ready for him to go the fuck home. Um and that's not the kind of heat that is good. That's like, oh, good, finally, not because he was a villain, but because the performances were bad. That's not what you want.
yeah, that's true.
And his matches haven't been interesting. They've been really formulaic. The last defense in Saudi Arabia against CM Punk was essentially the exact same formula, but with like a couple more steps that inserted Seth Rollins coming and screwing over CM Punk.
But
It otherwise played out like every single other one of John Cena's title defenses since he's been on his farewell tour, and
right, of
it's
course.
turning it into a good riddance tour.
No, I absolutely agree with that. But I'm not talking about John Cena. I'm talking about the belt itself, like the race for the belt, because he's not going to keep the belt. Like eventually someone else is going to. You don't find that more exciting than just one person holding on to it for 2 years, or
I think in concept it's more exciting, but unfortunately the execution is that we're just getting title defenses that make for really damn boring matches. Like the premise is good, but I don't know. Let me throw it into like D&D terms real quick. We have a really good we have a good story hook, but each combat sucks on the way there.
yeah,
And a big part of pro wrestling for me, especially, I can't speak to why other people enjoy this particular form of entertainment, but I really value good matches and good in-ring work. I know that places that don't often have good matches like to minimize that, but I think it's incredibly important that the in-ring work rise to the occasion of the story being told, or it's not good. It's like having it's like going to an action movie and there's a decent plot, but all the action scenes suck. That's
Yeah,
how I feel about John Cena's every single match since he's been on this run.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. For me, yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. John Cena's run has been a snooze fest, in my honest opinion. But the fact that I know the belt's gonna eventually move, and it's gonna take less than a year to do so, um, I'm cool with that. I'm more, I think, interested in who will take the belt next time around.
Yeah, and
Because I
I'm
mean,
not.
they got a crazy setup here right now. Like, I mean, and having Seth holding the Money in the Bank briefcase right now is nightmare fuel for anybody who gets a belt. Like, honestly, that's nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Especially considering that he's got Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with him. Holy cow.
Well, and right at the moment on that front, I know he is keeping both champions on their toes,
Mhm.
but at the moment, I'm inclined to believe that Seth Rollins will cash in based on the events that happen at Saturday Night Main Event. There's a strong possibility that Goldberg might actually catch the win, in my opinion, against Gunter. And since that's a road to nowhere, as he's announced that this is his final match, the logical conclusion, again, that doesn't mean they'll go with this, but the
Yeah.
logical conclusion would be that Seth Rollins is going to cash in on him, and then that ties itself up quite nicely with a little bow.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that's the route they go, but that's kind of where I'm putting my bet. My chips are sliding into that being, the right thing.
The
Um,
only way that I can see that happening, and oh, you know what? Okay. So, first of all, I don't have faith that any Saturday Night Main Event episode is going to have a belt move. Now, if they do, because they are competing right now with AEW, and apparently AEW, like, if they fart in the wind, it freaks WWE out. So, they got to find 600 people to fart or something into the wind. Like, they have to top AEW. Somebody sneezes, they need six more people than AEW to sneeze. Like, it's ridiculous, but whatever. The only people the people that benefit would be the fans. Um, most of the time. But if they did that, if they moved the belt, it would have to be something believable. And for me, Goldberg getting into the ring and going mano a mano with Gunther and winning, no. I don't believe that is how that's going to go down. And I feel like that would be shitting on one of their top superstars right now. Like, so I don't think that's the route they should go. However, Seth does have, like I just mentioned, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And all it would take is maybe one or two spears from his team, and throw Gunther back into the ring, and Goldberg will get the win.
Yeah, I think it could come down to whether or not Goldberg's going to go out on his back or not. Um, that's
I mean,
entirely
he
possible,
should.
but I still think that still sets the stage, because if it's going to be his final match, I hope they try to make it a good one. Um, and it's pretty much the marquee event for main event right now. So I'm hoping that Goldberg has enough left in him to put on a decent match with Gunter. And even if Gunter does win, like you said, Seth Rollins could come in after the match, and since the bell hasn't rung and there's not a match going on, there's nothing stopping Reed and Breaker, as you said, from obliterating Gunter into the floor and then allowing Seth to pick up an easy championship. In fact, that would probably be the best way to do it because it's going to be scummy and it's going to, it's going to piss Gunter off and make him chase Seth. And that's a good rivalry and it would create a lot of heat. Alternatively, they could decide that Goldberg's going to go out on top because when AEW retired Sting, that's what they did for him.
Yeah, but that's
So,
Sting. How dare they?
yeah, but I think,
How
like
dare they?
you just got done making the point that they've got to one up AEW.
Yeah,
So I
but
feel
what
like they would try
to
to
do
do that
so?
here.
They would need somebody at least comparable to Sting. That ain't Goldberg. Like we're talking about Sting's a fucking legend.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll get no argument from me, but he was also a legend in WCW at and around the same time Bill Goldberg was. You see the parallel that I'm drawing here?
Yeah, I
So
do. I
like they're
do. But
reaching for that. They even in the promotional package for Goldberg, they don't show any of his more modern wrestling. That whole package is him beating the crap out of people back in WCW.
yeah.
So they are
It's
definitely trying to evoke like his glory
uh
days.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it could go either way, but I
His
whether
glory
Gunther,
month.
wait, whether it's Gunther or whether it's Bill Goldberg, I see that being a strong opportunity for Seth to do the cash in,
That
and I
I
see it
agree on.
as
Yeah.
being a tidy way if you decided to put Goldberg over, and have him win the belt one final time. That we answer the question of what do we do with it, which they've been deliberately cagey about. They've acknowledged that the question is in the air, but they're like, quite the quandary. And it's
Yeah.
like, not really. It's a perfect opportunity for Seth to cash in. Um, Now I can almost predict them like making last minute changes if too much of like us and the rest of the internet see that coming from 100 miles away, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to do it that way anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll have to see, but that's the outline that I think makes the most sense to me. And you get Seth ripping the belt away from Goldberg or Gunter, which you know doesn't bury Jay, which is what I think they were trying to avoid by having him drop the belt to Gunter in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's very serviceable to work it out this way because while Gunter is a well respected wrestler, he's a heel, so nobody cares if he gets screwed. So
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'll
well,
be
except
I'll what? Except what?
I was going to say nobody will care except Gunter, and that's going to set Gunter's path straight for Seth Rollins, which might be the better way to go about it, honestly. I mean, maybe if they don't let Goldberg go out on top, but Gunter still gets screwed, that fuels fire going forward, because
Mm,
Gunter will set his sights on Seth Rollins. And
yeah.
that will be a hellacious feud because that's no joke. Gunter is no joke.
No, no, he's not. No, he is not. Well, it remains to be seen, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. Now, kind of circling back to your original question about how I feel about what's happening with the undisputed title and Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Um, yeah, I really think they need to tweak Cody to make him more interesting than just the guy who inevitably got his belt back from Cena, which is how it looks right now to everybody with eyeballs,
Yeah.
especially since, John Cena is doing like a tour of like the roster talent and it's inevitably going to come back to him. I don't know. In order to make it more interesting, maybe Roman Reigns needs to enter the chat, which is predicted to maybe occur at SummerSlam. Um, Something, but
Yeah.
action figure perfect babyface Cody just getting it back from him again is kind of the most predictable and boring outcome in my opinion. I was
I
more
agree.
interested in the idea that Ron Killings will be the guy that gets it off of him than Cody doing it, even though that's the most predictable and likely outcome.
Yeah. Well, Ron Killings is apparently busy having a tiff with Alistair Black for some reason. Man, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing there. They bring him back. He has a match with John Cena and loses again. Uh, and now he's got a issue with Alice, or Alice has an issue with him, and and Damian Priest is a part of it, huh? I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's gotten a little watered down and diluted, honestly.
Yeah, and now Damon is like just backstage looming every time Alistair walks around to warn him about Ron or something. Like, man, what's happening right now?
Yeah, I feel like they gave us that very powerful, our truth transitions to Ron Killings, but then they haven't executed on that well enough. Like Ron Killings hasn't shown himself to be a dominant, dangerous threat hard enough for
No.
me to believe it. And it doesn't help that they've got him, instead of him actually just being Ron Killings, they've decided to play it as him having some sort of multiple personality disorder where I'm driving now, but every so, often, probably too often, he regresses to our truth again. So it's like you've watered down the big change.
Yeah.
Um, and I think somebody else called that out. Oh, what's his name? One of the Dudley boys, Bubba Ray, on when he spoke to it, he said, if you're doing this big change, you can't keep making me have callbacks to our truth. You should make me want to not look at what you were
Yeah.
ever. You should make me want to look at what you've become.
Which is
And I
interesting because Ron had a really badass response to that uh on another podcast. But I
yeah.
mean, and that just kind of went nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm just not seeing that follow through. Like I'm not seeing Ron Killings show up. It just feels like it's our truth with a worse attitude, but he's
Yeah.
still no more competent or deadly in the ring, which
Yeah.
is where I feel it's failing. Like he needs to show up as something dangerous, and they have not done that. He still comes off like a joke.
Yeah. Hurt
So,
Syndicate tiring.
right. Um, and as far as Damian Priest, I had read that Damian Priest was workhorsing through some injuries. Um,
Oh, okay.
so it's possible that the reason we're seeing him more or less only in backstage segments is that he's walking wounded. So that's as much as they can do with him, but he's trying to stay in the zeitgeist instead of just be out and nobody, like Damian who.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're doing with it while he's maybe healing up.
Okay. Well, that's fair. At least he's not just become the mouthpiece for Ron Killings and nothing else. Like cause I'm like, bruh, he can wrestle, right? Remember when he used to do that? But if he's injured, I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently he was working his way through some injuries. Nothing, I don't think anything super severe, but enough that it was impacting his ability to perform. And he was working through that with his last, couple of really kind of, sturdy matches with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of being given a working break by just doing backstage segments at the moment.
Yeah. All right. I can dig it.
Well, moving on from Cody's promo with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Randy Orton, by the way, when he left after the RKO, kind of was stiff with Cody as well, indicating that I don't think we've seen the last of that, and
No.
that Randy feels his reputation and possibly his male ego has been bruised. So good. Next time, maybe you'll pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if he
so
goes heel, then he'll most likely screw Cody out of a belt or something. Whenever Cody inevitably has his match, I think maybe Randy Orton might come in and screw it up, and then we got heel Orton, and then a feud between those two. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
possibly.
Next.
Well, we're taken to the back where Charlotte Flair runs into Nick Aldis and is talking about potentially being the challenger for Tiffany Stratton at Evolution, and Aldous is like, no. Tiffany gets to choose her own opponent, and I don't think she's going to pick you. But I have set up something where you can be involved in the triple threat women's tag team match for a tag team title shot at Evolution. And Charlotte's like, tag gold? Ugh, like that's so beneath her. And then Alexa shows up because she's the one that sort of worked this out. And Charlotte starts to protest, like, look, I don't need a friend and I don't need you in my business. And Alexa is like, I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to be your partner. And while I realize you don't like sharing the spotlight, you haven't been in it in a while. So I'm trying to help you get some spotlight and some gold. And Charlotte Flair is like, fine. And so that sets up Alexa and Charlotte to be in the first match of the upcoming evening, which we'll get to in just a second. But that's not where this segment with Aldous ends, because once Charlotte and Alexa kind of walk off scene, Nick Aldis is left standing there as Drew McIntyre shows up. And he's very furious about having received an RKO from out of nowhere, even though he was begging for one with the way he was talking to Randy Orton. I mean, fully, he knew he was baiting Randy Orton.
Seriously.
And Randy takes the bait, and now he wants to act upset. You cry, bully. So Drew says he wants a match with Randy Orton. And Aldis tells him, well, that can't happen tonight because Randy pretty much left the building immediately. Like, he sprinted out of there.
Like, he RKO'd and then just ran out. Like, he full stop.
He burned out.
He was all gas, no brakes with his exit.
But exactly so. That's actually a nice segue. Aldis does let McIntyre know that he'll have a match with Randy at Saturday night's main event. And Drew seems happy with that. And he's about to storm off, but then he turns around to see one Jacob Fatu. And so they got to mean mug each other for a little bit. And then Drew eventually, fucks off. And that leaves Nick standing there with Jacob Fatu. And
Nick's a busy man.
Nick says, look, I understand, Jacob, that you want to get your hands on the bloodline or the family tree, whatever they're calling themselves these days. But he can't just go around attacking them in the parking lot and demolishing their cars. And I'm thinking,
I disagree.
Why not? I think he can. Clearly, because he did, he can. In fact, I think that got glossed over. Wasn't it at the start of this show that he attacked the bloodline while they were in their SUV?
Yes.
Yeah. He attacked Solo in the parking lot, pulled him out of the SUV back seat, and then beat the crap out of both. What was it? I think it was Tala and Tonga.
Yeah.
But long story short, Nick informs Jacob that if he can find a tag partner, he's happy to put them in a tag match with the Bloodline for later tonight.
Yeah, everybody's a tag team. Everybody.
Everybody. Tag team is the name of the game this episode.
Yeah. Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. But at that point, Nick kind of absconds off the scene, and it pans over a little bit to Jimmy Uso, who was apparently waiting right next to Jacob. And he's like, hey, I overheard that you need a tag team partner. And Jacob asks Jimmy if he's ready to get in where he fits in. And Jimmy says, yeet. And Jacob says, Yaramin.
Yeah. And we didn't get to hear Tessatori respond to that with this yabba dabba do mean.
Yabba dabba ting ting a ling ling.
Yeah, king 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 king.
Yeah, Joe Tessitore cannot. I feel like he has to be doing that on purpose. It's so bad of a rendition of Yaramin.
Yanara da 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 mean.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's really not far from it.
I swear to Christ, he said it the last time, and that was like 2-3 weeks ago, and I think they legit said to him, like, don't ever do that again. Don't ever. If you can't say it, then just don't say it. You know what? We won't even cut back to you. Just don't. Leave it
Yeah, I
alone.
I feel like at this point he's trolling us. Like
Yaramini.
somebody said you didn't say it right, and now he's specifically saying it as unright as he possibly can.
Oh my god. Like the last time, guys. You just gotta I don't know. He was like, I know ya that mean. I'm like, what just happened? Are
Yapple
you
dapple biggity bobbity booming.
I'm like, are you okay, Tessitore? Did you just have a fucking on air stroke, my guy? Yeah, yeah, that mean. I was like, oh my god, hey, he's not drunk, but his tongue is wasted.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe
Yeah,
Tessitore can't.
Rani, yeah, that mean. Oh, what?
Maybe he can't roll an R.
Man, okay, so the first time he did it, he rolled it good enough. Okay? He did. And ever since then,
Yeah,
it's just gotten progressively worse, man. Like it's just until the last time was just him going, yeah, yeah, well, that you mean?
Yabble dada gabi. Gibble
Ah,
gobble bazoo.
now he just goes into sim speech. He's just yada dag dag.
Dana mean?
Yada da mean. Like he just
Exactly.
it's like what just happened? And ever since then, they've been like, don't ever do that fucking again. You hear me?
Yeah, it's like
I mean, Triple H came
Tessitore.exe has
down.
stopped working.
Triple H came down to talk to him in person. Like, don't ever do that again, man. The fuck was that?
Right?
Yabba do mean? What the fuck, man?
What the
Fuck,
heck
Joe.
do you mean?
What the? Oh, yeah, bibbity bobbity boop, ya mean? Like, bro.
That's you, Tess. That's you.
Oh shit. Okay. So yeah, speaking of weird things, the Charlotte and Alexa, that match is the first match. But I think was there more? Or was that it? Nothing
I
else
think
happened
that
after
was
that.
it
Yeet
leading into the
and
first
yeah.
match. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeet and
Speaking of weird
yada da
things.
mean.
Yeah, that I mean. Uh so Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as a tag team. Okay, so set aside the weirdness that they're doing with Charlotte Flair right now. Just put that aside. That tag team is pretty fucking frightening. Especially
Yeah.
considering that they're going against the Secret Service with Chelsea Green and BFAB and Michin. Um I mean, come on. They're literally already telling you who's gonna win this fucking match. So aside from the fact that I think they're trying to soften Charlotte's image, and it's really kind of scary. Like it's kind of
They,
frightening. I want them to stop.
they
It's
must
like,
have thought her hairline was too frightening and had it
oh
retreat.
man, you need to stop, bro.
I'm just saying, it stalled you out for like a good 5 minutes while we were watching. You're like,
Come on,
why?
man.
Why is it so far back?
Brother, why? Oh, guys, I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway,
Why is she making Vegeta look like he's got bangs?
it really looked like they put her backstage, and the makeup, the suggestion for the makeup was Klingon. That's all I'm gonna say. Uh, that's what that her make that I don't know, man. I don't know what was going on with Charlotte's hairline, but it was reminiscent of hairlines from Days of War. It was back there. It was.
She's just test driving that middle back ponytail look.
I mean, I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's like a new fashion thing. I don't know. Women are like, I want my hairline behind my ear. I don't know. But if that's the case, man, whatever floats your boat. Um, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, aside from all the weirdness that they're doing with Charlotte, uh, including the hairstyle and the fashion, whatever, all that aside, put this tag team, Alexa and Charlotte. That's a pretty frightening combination. Um, excuse me.
Yeah, I agree.
And this match, I mean, this match was pretty much a throwaway match for Charlotte and Alexa. Um, and there's not even much that it really happened. I don't remember any standout moves. I remember it being kind of
Oh, I do.
awkward. You do?
Yeah,
There were standout moves in this? I mean, towards
there
the
there
end.
were. Yeah, towards the
Towards the
end.
end, it got good, but the warm up, the beginning was kind of stale. But
Yeah,
once Alexa got into the ring, and everything that happened after she was tagged in, uh, all that was real good. Like shit got good.
yeah, yeah.
But go ahead. You wanna talk about?
Well,
Mhm.
just to summarize, kind of like what was good and what was bad for me in this match. I mean, all of the women mostly looked good, but there were two significant flubs. There was a point where Michin went for a suicide dive, and literally no one was there to catch her. Like Alexa was still getting up, and Charlotte was on the floor. So essentially, Michin just dives into the ground. I think Alexa was able to keep her from hitting head first, but I mean, she didn't. She didn't do anything but dive into the ground, and that was terrible. That was the worst flub of the match. Um, and I'm not sure who's at fault. I don't know if Michin just went for it regardless of if anyone was there, or if Alexa and Charlotte weren't, you know, up enough, fast enough. But I
Yeah, I
mean,
I
come
think
on now.
yeah.
That's dangerous, guys. Stop.
You gotta start
Um,
freaking catching your teammates, though. I mean, honestly.
yeah, and then immediately following that, Piper Niven runs to the corner and attempts to mantle over the top turnbuckle and gets stuck midway. And
Yeah,
so what could have potentially looked cool looked not cool. Like it really looked not cool, especially on the edge of Meechin just diving to the floor. So those two things were bad. But in the closing segment, we had a decent flurry where I want to say, um, I think like it was like back to back. I think Alexa Bliss hits BFAB with a running like blockbuster, and then BFAB attempts to go for like a full Nelson slam, but Bliss counters out of it. She attempts to go for Sister Abigail, but for some reason stalls for like 19 years, like making this little face in the
yeah.
about to do it position. But Meechin then super kicks her face off. And then from there, Alba Fire comes in and kicks Meechin in the gut and then drills her with a Canadian destroyer. And then BFAB immediately responds with essentially a rock bottom. Like I know that there's a lot of different Uranagis or the spinning solo and stuff, but this was just straight up BFAB hitting the rock bottom.
Yeah,
Um,
it looked
and
good.
then Piper grabs BFAB, throws her to the ropes, and hits her with a very nice looking black hole slam or boss man slam, whichever one
Yeah.
you want to call that. And this was all kind of back to back, so it flowed really, really well. And after hitting that slam, Niven puts like a Cobra clutch on BFAB, and I think Alba Fire was trying to save her by going to the top rope, and Bliss yanks her off. And that leads us into the closing spot, which was also very good, where Charlotte tags herself in, proceeds to spear the ever loving life out of Piper Niven, and then stacks some kind of over near the corner. Because I want to say I think it might have been BFAB, but it could have been Alba Fire and Piper Niven that were tucked into the corner. I'm struggling to remember at this moment in time,
Yeah.
but there's two of them, right? And one of them's Piper Niven, and Charlotte steps deliberately on top of Piper Niven and then deliberately on Mystery second opponent. And she ascends to the top rope and then pats Bliss on the head in a very condescending manner, which is read as a tag by the ref. And she hits the moonsault. And it's hard to tell if the idea was that she didn't realize there was a tag, because she attempts the pin, but she doesn't stay in it very long. Like, she didn't act surprised that she wasn't considered the legal woman. Instead, she immediately hops up out of the pin. The second Chelsea Green jumps up on the apron and gives a big running kick to Chelsea that knocks her off the apron. And while that's going on, Alexa Bliss immediately climbs to the top rope, hits Twisted Bliss on... I want to say it hit both women, but she only, I think, pins Piper Niven, and they pick up the win for the match.
Yeah.
And then it got a little bit weirder, and I think I'll let you speak to that, because it was strange and awkward, and I'm not sure what they were trying to convey between these two.
Yeah. So once the match is over, Alexa and Charlotte are standing in the ring, and Charlotte looks like both annoyed and upset, but then she walks over really quickly to Alexa and hugs her. Like, it's the most strangest, awkwardest. It was so awkward. And then
Yeah.
after that, Alexa, like, they're just standing there, goofy, like, in the ring. And then Alexa looks at her, and then Charlotte, has this weird smile on her face. Like, I don't know what they were trying to
And
convey with
pushes
this story.
Alexa's shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are
I
you
have no
trying
idea.
to act like you guys weren't on the same page, but you really are? Or did you suddenly become on the same page, and Charlotte Flair is like the big sister and Alexa's like the annoying little sister? Like, what? It was
Yeah,
hard to read.
I was like, are you guys like advertising for like a 90s sitcom or something? Uh, what are we doing? All I needed for both of them to do
Yeah.
were to cross their arms and then lean on each other back to back and just be like, ha 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 ha. And yeah, just goofy laughs like,
Yep.
we're crazy.
Yeah, so
She's
I
the
don't know if they're
tall
trying
one.
I don't know if they're trying to convey that they themselves don't know what the nature of their relationship is, or that they're trying to make us second guess what the nature of their, chemistry and relationship is.
Well, I know what
But
the nature of their chemistry is. It's uncomfortable. So,
yeah.
and
But
I don't need to see Charlotte smile like that ever again. Don't you ever make Charlotte Flair do that again? Why does she need to be liked? Like what is this? Why does she why? Some
Yeah.
people are just better left alone. She doesn't need to be a heel. She doesn't need to be a face. She could just be the queen. That's it.
True.
But
But this is what they're doing with her. And you still make a very valid point that, like, the team of Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss on their worst day is still better than most of the others.
oh yeah,
So
God, that's
they're
nightmare fuel.
definitely dangerous no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit awkward with some, like, at least one scary danger.
No, at least we didn't have to see Michin torque.
At least we did not have to see Michin twerk.
Yeah.
True. No long back attacks.
Yeah. Don't. Please. What is it even? Never mind. Second match. No, not second match.
No.
No. We go backstage where because Nick was having one hell of a night. Busy night. Where we go backstage where he's holding a meeting, an impromptu meeting with the SmackDown Tag Team Division. And he tried to mitigate the situation last week by giving the Wyatt Six a shot at the tag team titles, and all other tag teams, all they had to do was stay out of it. But that's not what happened. We all remember. They couldn't help it. They all got into it. DIY says that everything they've been trying to do was to save the tag team division, and they're not the bad guys. Nathan Frazier has something to say about that. He's, basically talking smack to DIY, losing to Phoenix and Andrade. Uh, which I'm like, cold-blooded. Calm down, bruh. Uh, but anyway, he was making fun of him. And so Tommaso Ciampa, I think he said something to Fraxim, like he said they couldn't do any better or something like that. Nick sets up a match between Fraxium and DIY based on that. Like they kept going back and forth, and
Mm-mm.
I believe no, didn't
No, it's
Fraxium
not.
say
But
that he wanted to have a?
it's not between Fraxium and DIY. It's between Fraxium and Phoenix and Andrade.
Oh, sorry.
That
Yeah,
they can
sorry,
do a
sorry.
better job against them than DIY.
Yes, sorry. So sorry, guys. Yeah, it was them because I mean, Axiom is making fun of DIY, basically saying, making fun that they didn't win. So I guess Nick is like, well, let's see if you guys can do any better.
Yep.
Which is, I don't know if you guys heard the wah, wah, wah music in the background when that when that was said, but oh, foreshadowing. Um, and didn't he set up? I think he also set up a match with one person from the rest of all the tag teams that were there, like one person from each tag team, right? To have a match with the
Yeah.
Wyatt Six.
Yeah, since Fraxium is going to have a match with the remaining tag team in the back because I guess Pretty Deadly is out injured. And so with those 4 remaining tag teams, one person from each team is going to face off against the Wyatts in an 8-man tag.
Yeah, so basically insanity.
Yeah, basically insanity.
And speaking of insanity, that's the second match of the night. The Wyatt Six
Indeed.
versus Montez Ford, Johnny Gargano, Chris Sabin, and Berto in an 8-man tag team match. And this one was the mid card shining bright like diamonds. Good storyline or good storytelling. And surprisingly, man, Johnny Gargano is, as a wrestler, as a character, starting to grow on me a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
they had
in this,
started both Johnny and Champa started to grow on me when they became heels. I don't know why. Well, I don't know. But
what?
but they started to grow on me then, and they've just gotten better, and they've been putting on some banger matches. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
No,
and
they've actually been doing pretty well. And in this match, there's at least 2 story beats that are driven by like Gargano. So yeah, he's showing up.
yeah, and doing a great job. Yeah. So, what did you think about this match?
Couple of things. One, it was a nice showcase of all like moves and tag teams here. And it definitely played into the idea that, while the tag team division is saying in the back that they're unified against the Wyatt Six, put in a match where there's one member of 4 different tag teams, you didn't see that unity. And speaking to the story beats that I just mentioned involving Gargano, they actually acknowledged, instead of glossed over, that Gargano and Loomis used to roll together. And so Gargano gets tagged in with Dexter Loomis in the ring, and he says, "No, we're your family, not them." Blah blah blah. And Dexter Loomis responds by slapping the taste out of his mouth and then hammering him with a spinning Uranage side slam type move to more or less answer the question of where his allegiances lie. So that was story beat number 1. And story beat number 2 sort of defines the end of the match, so I'll get to it. But everything kind of in between was pretty solid. We got some really good spots from everybody in this. And remember last time we saw Joe Gacy and Loomis wrestle, we felt like Loomis was a little out of sync and kind of like the weak link in the chain. I didn't feel that this time.
Yeah.
I felt like Gacy, Loomis, Uncle Howdy for his like 2 seconds of in ring work. All of them did good, and the star of the channel is clearly Eric Redbeard Rowan.
Yeah.
Um,
Jeez.
and that definitely comes into play. Near the end of the match, Eric Rowan gets tagged in, and it was sort of a build up to him entering the match because it was going to be hell once he did.
Right.
Um, Essentially, what happens is Eric Rowan gets tagged in, and I think he's beaten the bejesus out of Chris Sabin. And Chris Sabin is like looking to make a tag, and Gargano's on the apron. And there's a tense moment in the ring where Eric Rowan is staring down Gargano like, yeah, tag in and get some of this. And Chris Sabin is struggling to get up to get over to make the tag. And Gargano considers what he would be tagging into face and decides to jump off the apron and leave Chris Sabin to his own devices. So he weasels out. And so that's the second big story bit that Gargano shows up to do. And what that ends up meaning is that poor Chris Sabin is left in there with Eric Rowan, and Rowan pretty much levels Chris Sabin with like a steamroller body avalanche. And then picks him up and hits him with an iron claw slam. And this Iron Claw Slam looked beautiful. Full credit to both Rowan and Chris Sabin,
Yeah.
because sometimes like an Iron Claw Slam, especially if the guy receiving the move doesn't help well, it looks like he barely gets him off the ground. This one looked like the biggest, tallest, highest choke slam you've ever seen, but it was done by Eric Rowan palming Chris Sabin's skull.
Yeah.
And it looked amazing. And it, of course, led to the victory for Eric Rowan, because Chris Sabin at that point in time was dead. He was brrr. So
Yeah.
fantastic finish. And it really conveyed the story on this one that, like, you can talk a good game about your unity, but when you're all put up against the Wyatt Six, your disunity shows.
Yeah.
And that played out all the way through with the fact that you've got four people that don't normally tag with each other, so the chemistry isn't there. And it finishes with Johnny Gargano bailing on it, like, screw you guys. So this played into all of kind of the undercurrents and story arcs that are playing out with the tag team division in SmackDown, and it was fantastic. This is a
Yeah.
great match.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. I thought it was real good. And like I said, I felt like it was the mid cards like shining bright like diamonds. Like they've been doing bang up jobs lately.
Yep. I fully agree. I think that's one of the strengths of SmackDown, their tag team, which well, I'm sure we'll speak to it later because it'll come again, but with as strong of a tag team division, it does beg the question why they're taking Phoenix and Andrade in that direction instead of them both being singles competitors. But we'll
That's a
speak to that
great
more.
question. Like that's a great question. Yeah.
But following that amazing match, for some reason they felt the need to announce Randy Orton battle. Like, I didn't know that was a hanging question, but thanks.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are.
And then we get a really solid promo from Julia. And what did you think of what do you think in general of Julia, and what did you think of this promo?
Um I like Julia. I'm nervous. I'm nervous for Julia, and I'm nervous uh for the other women that are similar to Julia. I'm hoping that she isn't here to replace anyone. I'm hoping that she's here because she's an amazing addition to the women's division, and not someone who's alleged. I mean, you know what? This is just me having my fear because she reminds me too much of other female wrestlers that are currently there. Like she reminds me a lot of Io. She reminds me a lot of the pirate princess whose name I always forget, Kyrie.
Kyrie Sane.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, she reminds me a lot of these ladies and a few others. And like I'm hoping that nobody gets kind of buried and then dismissed. But all of these women are fierce competitors. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of into watching her and Io have a match. Like I kind of feel like that would be ridiculous. Just like I think her and Oscar would be ridiculous. Um,
Now, is that because you think they would put on great matches because of their styles, or is just because they all also happen to be Japanese?
no, I think it's because they are very similar in styles and in size, which it that really does make a difference to a lot of the female competitors. Um, and it lacks believability when you have someone Julia's size going after, say, Nia Jax.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like they just generally put on better matches when they're dealing with someone that's similar to their size, slightly larger if they want someone to do a lot of some tosses or whatever. But for the most part, Io works better that way. Um, and I'm not saying that she can't have banger matches with larger competitors. She does all the time. Um, her and Rhea Ripley put on bangers. But I just feel like these women kind of go all out whenever they're dealing with similar size competitors.
I
And
could
and
see
their
that.
styles are pretty similar too. Like I said, like Julia and Io are not just because one is like or because they're both Japanese. Like not because of that, but because I don't know. I don't know why their styles are similar. Maybe they trained in same locales or something. I don't know, but they are very very similar to each other. Um, which doesn't it doesn't I don't think EO can be buried that way because EO is a real one. Um, I'm hoping maybe we get a good rivalry or something out of this. I don't know, but I'm hoping that this elevates the female division and um not the latter, not the opposite. Sorry, you know what I mean?
I do, and it's possible that you're seeing similarity now because I think all of the women that you just named, Kairi Sane, Asuka, Io, and Julia, all have a background having wrestled in um, what is it, Stardom in Japan.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think that's kind of where all of them started. So
Yeah,
maybe some of that experience and training comes through in the way all of them kind of do their thing.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that's possible.
But I fully agree with you that when the two wrestlers are a closer match, in a lot of ways, that's beneficial to watch because then both women can usually pull off their offenses more easily and reliably than if there's a great size disparity. Um, in that case, like if it's somebody like Io versus, say, Nia Jax, to use that example, then EO has to much more rely on striking and aerial moves and less on her grappling just because Naya's too big, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I see where you're coming from. When the physical matchup is closer, then you get more of the full offensive capabilities of each wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You get it.
I try.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as this particular promo, I was pleased with it. Julia seems to rather seamlessly um, decently well spoken English. I don't think her English is an issue, but she does have a, how did you call it? She has an interesting accent that sounds like 50% Japanese and 50% what, Italian?
Yeah, I think I don't know if she's Italian or Spanish or but
Yeah.
but there's an accent there that like her Japanese is flawless. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
her Japanese is bad. I'm saying that it sounds like an Italian person speaking Japanese.
Yeah, and so it makes it for me. It makes it interesting.
Yeah,
Japanese, like she's speaking perfectly, but there is an accent. You're right, but it's kind of exotic too. Um, but she cuts a mean promo already for someone who is second language English.
yeah,
And she can come out there and rattle off Japanese perfectly, like you said. So her promo was very good, I felt. She concluded it with saying, "You're all about to feel the heat of the beautiful madness." She essentially was saying she was throwing out her challenge as the new U.S. champion to any and everyone on the roster, and telling them, she'll burn you down like she burns down everything with the heat of the beautiful madness. And I was like, hey, talk your shit,
yeah.
make them fear the smoke. Except for the Street Profits, because they always want the smoke.
Always. Always.
Always. But that led us into a promo segment featuring Tiffany Stratton, who has the opportunity. I didn't realize this about SummerSlam, and maybe that's on me because I believe it was commented on that it seems strange that Io Sky came out and issued a challenge to Rhea Ripley. But apparently at the upcoming SummerSlam, the champions get to pick their challengers, or sorry, for Evolution, not for SummerSlam. So for Evolution, the champions get to pick their challengers.
Yeah.
Um, and so we had noted that it seemed odd that Io approached her challenger, but I guess that's actually like the formality of Evolution. I think the last one was something like 17 years ago, so forgive me for not remembering that detail, or if that's just a new thing. So now it's Tiffany's turn, and this was something that Aldous referenced before when Charlotte was talking about going for the gold, and he said Tiffany gets to pick her challenger, and he doubts it will be Charlotte. So Tiffany has come out and is talking about it's her turn. Io Sky had the opportunity to choose who she wanted for an opponent, and tonight I'll have the same opportunity in choosing who I'd like to face. And the second that came out of her mouth, Jade Cargill's music starts playing. And so the storm is coming, and Jade comes out, and her outfit is fantastic. She's got this like Ice Queen motif going on with the fact that she's won Queen of the Ring. And of course, Jade looks great in her outfit.
Yeah.
And she comes down and she hops into the ring and she says, "All right, respect. I saw you out there beating Nia Jax, but you were barely standing when I was crowning myself the next Queen of the Ring." And then she goes on to say, "You've got a choice to make. Choose wrong and you won't be at SummerSlam. But it's not going to matter either way because whoever I face at SummerSlam, I'm coming out with that title."
Snap.
And that's when Tiffany says, "Well, Jade, I'm glad you're here because I actually have a surprise for everybody." And then we hear Trish Stratus's music start to play. And so Trish makes her way to the ring. And
And Wade says something that makes everyone uncomfortable.
oh, what was that?
You remember he said something about his physical reaction to hearing Tiffany's music, and both of us were like, "Please don't ever say that again." I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Trish.
it was something like, now that Trish is out here, he's having a biological reaction to quit pants or something. I don't know. It was it was not necessary, and ew.
Yeah. Nobody asked you for that. Wait,
Nobody,
nobody.
nobody cares what is happening in that regard.
But
So
Trish was backstage taking a nap. and they called her, and she didn't have a time. She didn't have a chance to change, so she came out. She just put her boots on and came out in her little onesie. Um,
She did. She had a pink onesie. Yeah, yep.
Adorable. But she came out, and I believe Tiffany said in her most loveliest voice that she wanted to have a match with Trish.
Hey, I mean, when your lips don't move, you have to.
Oh man, her it's not her lips moved. The rest of her face didn't go anywhere. Like it just kind of like it just kind of stays frighteningly stationary. Um, but she she says that she wants to have a match with Trish, and Trish wanted to sound respectful and thankful for the opportunity to have the match, and it would be cool to win the belt. And then Tiffany went all bipolar on her and was like, don't get it twisted, I'm gonna kill everybody. Like, I don't know, she fucking lost her shit. And like she did to me, bro. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe she wasn't as crazy as that, but I don't know. She honestly was like, I would just like to make one thing clear. This isn't gonna be easy. It's not the Attitude Era anymore. And Trish is like, okay, that's fine." She's like, it's okay. I want that. I want that vibe. I want the fight because I've been known to evolve, Tiff. And Tiffany's like, good. So whether it's you at Evolution or you at SummerSlam, speaking to Jade, you both are gonna realize that the WWE universe runs on Tiffy time.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, lady, calm the fuck down. Like, you called me out here, offered me the opportunity for a match, and I just want to be like, thanks. And then she's like, I'll kill you. Like, all right, damn.
Right. It's like, don't be so grateful because I'm gonna whoop your ass. And it's like, okay.
Jesus,
God.
lady. Yeah, we get it. Brr. You got cold.
Well, it did, and it wasn't because of Jade being the ice queen. But following that, we now realize that at Evolution, we're going to see Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
That brought us to a video package promo with Solo Sikoa and his new family tree that consists of Tongaloa, JC and the Sunshine Band. I mean, Mateo and Tonga baby deer, doe-eyed Bambi eyes, Loa.
Tonga Bambi.
Tonga Bambi. And Solo goes on to wish America a happy birthday from the United States champion, Bambiloa. He says, I hope you got your fireworks ready because we're about to celebrate, and help me welcome the newest member of my family, Tala Tonga. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, they went with that because he's the Tala Tonga. So he continues saying, what you're looking at right now, it's nothing like the bloodline. This new group's way stronger and way more strongerer and much more dangerouser than ever. And he says, if Jacob wants to get involved in our business tonight, you two stay back. Me and JC will take care of it. These are my MFTs. And we were like, what is an MFT?
Yeah. Oh, because I mean, you guys remember when you would throw that out there back in the day with Solo? They kept calling Solo Roman's MFT. And we were like, what the hell is that? And we would look it up online. Yeah, finally. He said it, these are my MFTs, and I'm like, what is that? And then right after that, he goes, my family tree. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he says, now my family is complete and ominous. So he's not the bloodline. They're the family tree, which is nothing like the learning tree. It's a different tree.
Or the bloodline, for that matter.
Or the bloodline. Not like the bloodline or the learning tree. He's the family tree.
Family tree. I am the family tree. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
All right. After that, we go backstage where Trish is skipping, and throwing flowers everywhere she goes, and she runs into Jade Cargill in the backstage area, and Jade loves that she's tossing flowers around and that she's very happy about getting a title shot at Evolution, but she also warns Trish that she might be seeing her at SummerSlam, to which Trish replied, "Yay!" And she's looking forward to that.
exactly like that.
Yeah,
Before she sprinkled fairy dust on Jade and then exited.
yeah, and then she skipped away, and Jade was like, "Well, that was nice." And Jade was about to skip off, but then Naomi hits Jade in the back of the head with the money in the bank briefcase, laughs maniacally, and kneels by Jade and basically says that she should have proceeded with caution, laughs maniacally yet again, and then runs off into the night.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe
She
turned
doesn't skip
into a
away.
bat.
She scurries. Yep.
No,
Yep.
she turned into a bat and she flew away. Um, and after she got beat, then Nick Aldis came up. I'm like, Nick, you was there the whole time. You saw that. Uh, Nick wasn't gonna intervene. He was hiding behind some of the crates, watching the altercation. And then whenever Naomi turned into a bat and flew off, he came running out, and he was like, "Cargill, are you all right? Are you all right?" And and Jade was like, "No, I'm sick of Naomi's shit, and I want a match with her." And I kind of feel like I don't know if they said. I don't know if Nick was like, "All right, we'll get you a match," or if he told her. But I get the feeling that this might be uh a match that's happening like on the same
Evolution.
show. Yeah, Evolution.
Yep. I like that Nick all showed up and was like, "Are you all right, Jade? Are you
Jade!
okay?"
Jade Cargill, are you alright? Are you alright, darling?
That's so Nick Aldis. Hey, it's better than if it was Adam Pierce. He would show up and be like, "Ugh, I need a drink. What did
He'd
you
come
do, Jade? How did you cause this?"
he'd come over there and been like, "What man corrected you?" Oh my god, yeah. Which
So,
leads us
which leads us to the
into
third match of the night, which is Fraxium versus Ray Phoenix and Andrade.
yeah,
Uh,
which go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you don't know who Andrade is, and take an impression that his Andrade listened to the podcast enough.
Yeah. So yeah, Andrade and Phoenix, and I'm I'm happy to talk about the match, but I am very confused as to why Phoenix and Andrade are now in a tag team together. Like Nick Aldis was standing in the middle of 85 tag teams that are already together. They have already been established as said tag teams, and yet he goes out of his way to put together two men who weren't in tag teams. He just made two superstars, like, boom, you guys are now in a tag. And what's even stranger to me is that he's doing that with Phoenix. Phoenix had a tag team partner. It was his brother, but you guys put one on Monday Night Raw and the other on SmackDown, and then put both in tag team matches. Eh?
Yep. Yeah, if I had to wager a guess, it's because right now Solo Sikoa is tying up their mid card title with his storyline. So what else are they gonna do with these guys?
I
Because
mean,
Andrade, LA Knight, um, to a lesser extent, right now maybe Damian Priest, um, and a lot of other guys are mid-card guys, right? And I'm not saying that to be mean, right? But I
No,
am
no, I get
saying
it.
that these are all guys that have fought for the US title recently, like LA Knight, Andrade, Carmelo, Ray Phoenix would fit into that category. Like there's a big mid-card that they have that would be pursuing that US title, and it's completely locked up with my family tree and Jacob Fatu and what they're doing with that right now. So
I mean,
maybe
so
that's what else do we do with them?
spend some time building some rivalries between uh you know individuals, uh build better storylines. Why put everybody in tag teams like that? Like,
I I
and
don't disagree.
when they do that, they take away a lot of the personality of each individual to give them this group mindset, and like they don't even have individual conversations. They speak with each other, like Fraxium, for example. One Axiom says one thing, and then Frazier ends the sentence or ends the conversation with what Fraxium or what Axiom was gonna say. Like, it's that kind of thing. So you don't really have personalities for each individual, not until one of them goes heel and snaps on the other or something. Uh, you don't get that. It's just kind of a conglomeration, if you will. Um, and I mean, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I don't even feel like they've given Ray Phoenix a proper shot. Like, I feel like he got there, and then they just kind of immediately started giving him some kind of man mid card matches. Whereas Penta's uh entrance into WWE, like, the fanfare was great. Like, it was, and I'm like, if you guys were gonna do this anyway, though, if you were gonna put them in tag team spots anyway, well, I don't know of any better tag team partner for Ray than Penta, or for Penta than Ray.
Yeah, I agree, but you do make a good point. While Ray Phoenix had a WrestleMania match like almost immediately, you're right. His general push and place on the card doesn't seem to match Penta's. Penta is out there fighting with. We need a name for Seth Rollins' group. I'm gonna just call him Rollins Band. I know they won't use that because like trademark, but like what
Yeah.
else can we call him to quickly, Seth and his minions? I guess I don't know, but he's tangling with them. Um, so he's right in the top of the card picture, or at least with the top of the card faction.
Yeah.
Um, whereas Ray Phoenix was tangling with the mid card and is now apparently tangling with the tag team division.
Apparently. So, I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this, but hopefully it's somewhere that's going to make some friggin' sense. Now, aside from that, this match was decent. I have been squinting at Frazier ever since he's come to the main roster, because uh while he was phenomenal in NXT, I don't recall seeing him flub as much. And what I mean by that is, it would be different if he were doing things that would harm himself. But I mean, I've seen him at least twice do things to other superstars that could possibly injure them. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I have seen that in Monday Night Raw more than SmackDown. Uh, um, but I've also seen it at least twice with one wrestler, and that is something for me to take notice of, or I wouldn't just normally take notice of that. So Fraser, he has me nervous for that reason. Like, I almost feel like he gets uh too, I don't know, anxious,
Excited,
too
nervous,
excited, too nervous. And then he just goes out there and I don't know. I don't
ends
know.
up being slightly reckless.
Yeah, but we already have one superstar. Um is it Kit?
Yeah. Elton. No, I think it's Elton
Elton.
Prince is still
Okay.
out from
Yeah.
what looked like Frazier landing on him.
Yeah. So, uh, I don't know. He just kind of concerns me, and I think maybe, uh, I think maybe WWE feels the same way, because this match, or maybe they're just telling a storyline. Maybe they're just going with the storyline or the story that they had or they were starting to build at the beginning of the evening. But I kind of feel like the push that WWE is giving Axiom or Fraxium, I feel like it's kind of dwindling. And I don't, even if it is, it's honestly, in my opinion, most likely because of the two times, at least the two times that I've seen Frazier injure another superstar. Now
Yeah,
we'll know if that's the route they're going, if suddenly Axiom and Frazier have some sort of dispute, and then Axiom either wants to leave or the group is disbanded or somebody turns heel or something like that. We'll know that they're probably trying to break these two up because one of the two is about to get the Austin treatment.
yeah. And to support your theory that you have just put forth, not Austin, but the one about Fraxium.
Yeah.
This match sees Andrade and Rey Fenix hand Fraxium their first tag team loss since hitting the main roster. Um, I will say this, for all of what we just said regarding our concerns about Nathan Frazier, I didn't see it in this match.
No.
And we were looking for it. We were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, squinty eye. So that's fortunate. And this was actually a really good match. These teams have
Mm-hmm.
very complementary styles.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted some high speed, fast paced tag team action, this was the match for you.
Yeah.
Um, and there's too many high spots to want to go over, but I will cover kind of how we end. Heading into the close of the match, Frazier puts Andrade on the top turnbuckle, and Axiom climbs up there and hits an avalanche Spanish fly on Andrade. And Frazier comes off of the opposite turnbuckle to hit him with a Phoenix splash, but only gets a 2 count because Phoenix splash and Rey Fenix. It's a lot of Phoenix going on, so bear with me. He breaks the cover by running into the ring, jumping off the back of Frazier and hitting a code breaker on Axiom that also lands on Frazier. It was a really cool way to break the pin, and that leaves all four men kind of laying for a moment. They're like, "Brr." And
Yeah.
as they make their way to their feet, Andrade kicks Axiom in the face, and then drops Nathan Frazier with a discus back elbow smash, that kind of kick into a back elbow. And we end up with Rey Fenix running across the top rope as that's happening and delivering the goodbye amigo, I want to say, to Axiom. And then I want to say Andrade grabs hold of Nathan Frazier and puts him in the double underhook that usually leads to the message, but he moves all the way over to kind of like the ropes, and that allows Phoenix to run over and jump over Nathan Frazier's kind of bent over body to land a huge somersault plancha on the outside to Axiom, and then Idolo or Andrade plants Frazier with the message to just straightforwardly pick up the win against Fraxium. Like they didn't just lose for the first time on the main roster as a tag team, but they lost soundly. Like not even a chance to maybe have broken up the pin or anything, and just straightforwardly Phoenix and Andrade defeat Fraxium.
Yeah.
Which kind of supports what you were saying about maybe they're not as up on. Maybe could have
Yeah.
just been it time for them to lose, and I do think that they're trying to, immediately insert Andrade and Ray Phoenix into the tag division as serious, take us serious contenders.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I'm here for it. I suppose I'm here to see what they do with it. I just think it's I don't feel that Phoenix has gotten uh that big of a push versus his brother. But we will see where this leads. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
both of them are happy to be working, period, and just living their best life. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm cool
it's
with
not
that.
unreasonable. It's not unreasonable what you're.
Yeah,
SmackDown is stacked on the male tag team division. Like they've got a deep tag team division. So to take two of their stronger currently mid card guys and throw them together as one more tag team. Do you think that might just be reflective of the fact that SmackDown, this episode of SmackDown was the first one, but it has recently moved to a 2 hour from 3 hour format. So in order to get everybody displayed, we're going to just see more multi-man and tag team and all that kind of stuff just because they're an hour less to do with.
I am I am certainly hoping that that is not the case, but it very well may be. And that can only go so far. It's kind of like um how they were trying to make everything three-man matches all of a sudden. Um and it's like that's cool. The first time, it's kind of like, oh wow, that's crazy. That doesn't happen often. But when every freaking match for a belt becomes a three-man or a
Triple
four-man
threat.
match, yeah, then it's like, oh, come on, bruh. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping they kind of fucking chill out on that. But
Yeah, that could come down to just the logistics, how much time and who. Um,
yeah,
just as one possible consideration. I mean, obviously we don't have the inside scoop, but I mean, as outsiders, as fans looking in, it sort of appears that might be the case.
yeah,
Moving on from that match, we are taken backstage where Damian Priest runs into Aleister Black
he's just backstage
and
looming.
just Lumen, but not Dexter Loomis. Um, and Priest wants to talk about R-Truth again, and it doesn't help what I said earlier about Ron Killings not really being that transformative or being depicted correctly as such. It doesn't help that he's referred to as R-Truth constantly. Like, is he R-Truth? Is he Ron Killings? Is he both? And if he is both or still R-Truth, doesn't that water down the hell out of like him doing that whole big, oh, cut my hair, I'm Ron Killings, I'm this guy now?
Yeah.
Because I tend to think it does, and so they're going to have to try. And I don't know what they're trying to do, but if it was to make Ron Killing seem like a totally different version of this performer, and to get us on the page and not keep us going back and forth between he's a comedic act, no, we should take him seriously. They're not doing a great job of it, in my opinion.
No.
But he says he wants to talk about R-Truth again. And Priest tells Black that he has a match with Truth next week. And Black says, oh, it seems like you're setting your friend up. But that can't be the case, right? You're the good guy. And Priest is like, well, first, who ever told you I was the good guy? And second,
Like in his song
who
that he's not.
who told you that Truth is going to be the victim in this upcoming match? And with that, Aleister Black sort of like just nods and says Priest and walks off, and Damian says Black. So it was a weird little interaction. between the two gothiest goths on the roster.
Yeah, they're both gothing super hard. Just gothing all over the place. Oozing with goth. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. If there was any more goth, it'd be Gotham. Thank you for
There
the
were any
pity
more-
giggle.
if there be any more goth, if there were any more goth, that'd be the Wyatt.
Yeah.
Thank you for the pity laugh.
Yeah. I got nothing. Oh, and then we're told that it's been made official that Jade Cargill will battle Naomi in a WrestleMania rematch at Evolution. So, confirmed. And also that next week, since the Wyatt Six stood against the entire division, or rather, one half of every member of the entire division almost, they will once again get a tag team title shot versus the Street Profits. So that's something to look forward to. And I believe Aldis made it quite clear that if anybody interferes, they'd be held to pay. But that by no means means that they're going to listen anyway. They haven't thus far. It's an unruly tag team division.
True.
But that brings us to our fourth and final and the main event match, which is the tag team match of Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso versus Solo Sikoa and JC and the Sunshine Band. I mean, Mateo. Damn it. I'll get that right at some point. And just to start, what were your thoughts on this final match of the night?
Jacob Fatu and Jimmy looked good. Solo looks good. JC Mateo looked all right,
He did not. JC Mateo looks like he's about to die. He looks like he's struggling to.
He just kind of I don't know. I'm still just kind of squinting at JC. I guess he's okay. I don't really understand his point for being in the MFT or what they're called, whatever they're called. And I'm still not impressed. I'm still not convinced that he's a force to be reckoned with. He just looks like he needs to take a nap at any moment. At any moment, you look at him from any angle, he looks like the next thing he's going to say to you is, I need to sit down somewhere. Like no matter what he's doing, no matter where he is, whenever the camera
he's got
cams
struggle
in on
face.
him, the look on his face looks like he's about to say, where is the living room or where's the couch or something? I don't know. So yeah, but all jokes aside, he still does that really cool like move where he's like he does the backflip from the standing position onto his opponent.
The chest moonsault.
What he said. He can still pull that out, and that's cool. I almost feel like they hired him in this particular faction just because of that. They were like, that's close enough to Jacob Fatu. Get him in here. And they were just like, "Hey, can you flip? Let's go." I kind of feel like that's how he got this job. But this match itself was pretty good, and while I knew that Jacob Fatu and Jimmy were ultimately going to become or be the victors in this match, I also knew that was not the point of the match. I realized that the point was Jacob Fatu and Jimmy are now on the same side, and Solo, JC, Tala, Dear Boy, they all were going to come out there and essentially just whip Jacob's ass and Jimmy if Jimmy got in the way. But this was really just about them doing more damage to Jacob, where he can win that match. Sure, that's a fluke, but we are still going to be the dominant presence in this ring. Whether or not we
Yeah.
win or lose, irrelevant. So I realized that was the point of the match, and they're also trying to build some storyline. They're trying to create the other uh new bloodline 4.12, or I don't know, version 64. I don't know what version this is now, but I know that there's gonna be Jimmy on one side, with Jacob, possibly Jay, uh maybe even Cody if things ain't going Cody's way. We'll see, but I feel like that is going to be the new group or the new bloodline that's going to be going after Solo Sikoa and his MFTs. I don't know why
Yeah.
that sounds like some sort of like bank transaction.
It does. It does. It sounds like an electronic fund, an EFT. So I agree with you. I felt like it was sort of a foregone conclusion that Jimmy and Jacob would probably win the match but lose the battle.
Yeah.
And that is essentially how it played out. I also feel I would like to speak to some of the members here, like they're on these two teams. In this particular match, I'm with you. I'm not overly impressed by JC Mateo or Jeff Cobb or whatever. Maybe he was like considered a super powerhouse when he was wrestling in Japan against like 5'9" guys or something. But here in the WWE, I've yet to see that he's this incredible powerhouse that they're trying to tell me. So there's this dissonance of what you're saying and what I'm seeing. He looks like he's struggling to walk. Um, you know, you couple that with the fact that he's been boiled down to basically what seems like two moves. Like this
Yeah.
dude will do his moonsault and then he will do Tour of the Islands, and that's it. That is the sum and total of JC Mateo. Other than that, he looks like he's struggling to exist the entire time he's out there. So not, I'm sorry, I'm just not super impressed. I mean, I'm not saying I knew a lot or was super impressed with Jeff Cobb anywhere, but I'm not impressed with him over here as JC Mateo either. I also feel regrettably like Jimmy Uso, his whole identity has gotten diluted.
Yeah.
Like there's so many Samoans in the ring that have basically co-opted everything that Jimmy used. You know, every one of them, Solo, Jacob, just all of them. They all use a super kick. They all use a running hip attack in the corner. They all come off the top rope in some form or fashion. So it's like there's just this standard Samoan dynasty move set that they're all working, and that makes it so that Jimmy doesn't really have anything that he does that stands out.
Yeah.
Couple that with the fact that there's Jay as well, and there's so much overlap. Jay is at least differentiated by adopting some other stuff. But, you know, Jimmy, even like his catchphrase at this point is to say yeet. So it's like Jimmy is just an amalgam of like so many of everything else that there's not really anything that stands out as Jimmy anymore. So he's going to have to like maybe do something to differentiate himself if he wants to stand out with like all of the other trillion Samoans that are all doing the same shtick now.
Yeah.
So really, this ended up being a match where the only thing of particular note that happened in the ring was between Solo and Jacob. Now early on in the match, Solo hit a fantastic looking spinning solo on Jimmy Uso. And Jacob Fatu ran his entire gamut of offense on Solo's happy ass. And the way we end up kind of ending the match is I want to say Jacob Fatu is able to hit his double jump moonsault on Solo, after he denied Solo the Samoan Spike and hit Solo with an Impaler DDT, and that allows him to pick up the win. But
Yeah.
immediately following that, before they could really enjoy any kind of victory, of course, Jacob ends up being attacked. Um, I want to say that actually, maybe I'm mistaken. No, Jacob actually kind of starts it because he kicks Solo out of the ring, and then follows that by trying to clear the announce table. And
Oh,
he
yeah, yeah.
tries to put well, no, he successfully puts Solo on the announce table and looks like he's going to go up for something, like I'm not sure what. Jacob is impressive, but I'm not sure I fully believe that he could fly from the top rope to the announce table without like taking out his own shins. But as
No,
he climbs
God.
up to the yeah, as he climbs up to the top turnbuckle to attempt to do some sort of dive onto Solo through the announce table, Talatonga ends up arriving in the ring and grabs hold of Fatu by the neck and choke slams him off the top turnbuckle. And then Jimmy gets in there and tries to stop him, and he stalls him out for a little bit. But
Mm.
Tongaloa ends up attacking Jimmy from behind, and eventually the numbers game catch up to him as Solo is able to kind of recover and get back in the ring. And Jimmy gets planted with JC Mateo's Tour of the Islands, and I want to say that Tongaloa follows that up with a Magic Killer neck breaker to the outside, and then Solo drops Jacob with a Samoan Spike. And then they all come out, and whatever plan Jacob had for Solo to go through the announce table uh, gets turned back on him as JC Mateo and Tongaloa hoist up Jacob onto Talatonga for the Shield style triple power bomb through the announce table, which is how they closed the show. And you've got Solo standing over, kind of on the barricade of the Timekeepers area with his U.S. title held up high, and it just shows the MFTs all standing tall over the dilapidated Jacob Fatu who's been put through the table.
Yeah.
And that's how they close the show. Boop boop.
Boop, boop. Now, off air, apparently, after the show ended, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso ran out to help Jacob Fatu brawling with Solo's crew, and uh, just to make the crowd happy, you know. So that was not televised, but it did happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, secret ending after the credits.
Hmm. Secret
And
identification.
I felt like that was a pretty satisfying way for the storyline of this match to play out. Because you've got to establish Solo T's as some sort of, as a threat to the rest of the roster. Because
Yeah,
individually, none of them represent a threat to Jacob Fatu. Hell, two or three of
right.
them don't necessarily represent a threat to Jacob Fatu. Um,
Yeah.
so overall, what were your thoughts about this episode of Friday Night SmackDown?
It's gonna be that magic number again. The number that I usually give a show that I think is good, but did not be. I'm not like like my mind isn't blown. It's not oozing out of my ears. Um, I'm gonna give it an eight neck nubs because it didn't piss me off. It was not a bad show. They used their 2 hours wisely. Um, the matches were solid. The mid card tag team division is showing out. I didn't see any bumps or flubs or whatever except for the few that happened in the Secret Harvest match with Mi Chen and um BFAB and Charlotte and Alexa. that match, and that was probably the weakest link as far as matches was concerned. And even then, it wasn't that bad of a match. It was still a decent match. So yeah, I'd give it an 8. Backstage promos were decent. Um, yeah, yeah, it progressed storylines. Um, yeah, I overall enjoyed it. What say you?
I'm inclined to agree with you on all counts. I know I may have spent a lot of time on things that I'm critical of about, so I apologize because I would like to convey that I felt like all of these matches were actually pretty good. It's just that the things I'm critical of, need elaboration and justification more so than what's good.
Yeah,
Um, I would like to see, particularly with the ladies, them doing a better job at catching opponents that are doing over the top rope moves, like Meechin just diving into the ground. That's no good for me. Like that,
yeah,
I hope that gets heavy corrective feedback from the back, because that's how you could severely hurt each other out there.
yeah,
You've got to be the landing pad for somebody that's flying out of the damn ring.
yeah,
That's part of your job. It's not optional. Um, Other than that, though, I agree with you. These were all solid matches. I do feel like it promoted a lot of the storylines, particularly, Solo went from just like 2 weeks ago looking like he was a man alone. I mean, he had JC Mateo, but I mean, seriously, what? Um, to a guy who has basically rebuilt his faction and could be a very dangerous element. And that's great, because that also represents, a place where, the bloodline or, the family tree could clash with whatever Seth Rollins is building.
yeah,
Whatever he wants to call them, his band, I don't know. But I felt like that did a really good job. I think they're doing a great job building up a lot of new or newish talent. Jacob Fatu is still relatively new on the scene, and they have immediately got this guy. He could be like carrying the card. He's so damn good. It's
yeah,
scary how good Jacob is. And Solo was looking good in there. I'd like to see a bit of differentiation and something popping from Jimmy. I would like definitely for JC Mateo to convince me that there was a reason they hired him. Um, and we're still waiting to see how things shake out with the returning, or the brand new Tala Tonga and the returning Tongaloa. So far, Tongaloa hasn't screwed up anything significantly, so I guess that's an improvement for sure.
that's good.
Um,
That's good.
that is good. Now we just need Tamatonga to get healthy and come back so that he can hit us all with yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Until then, we have uh the Wyatt Six. We have Uncle Howdy.
but that's true. He did do that during that match. He was doing the
That is
yeah, yeah,
nonstop. Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I would like to see also. I'm happy to see what's happening with the tag division, and I like that Andrade and Rey Fenix, are shown to win. And I haven't seen anything that's like super lopsided yet. Where it's like, oh, this team will always lose now forever, and this team will always win now forever. I like that they're keeping it fresh. So I have to give them a lot of credit. I do have my criticisms, but overall, I really enjoyed the show. All of the matches were solid. And I think they did some good building to both general storylines that are ongoing. They did great building for the upcoming PLEs of particularly Evolution, but they've also built into the match card for Saturday night's main event, and they're also building out, the potentialities for upcoming SummerSlam. So it's doing everything it needs to do in those regards. So I'm going to
yeah.
fully give it the 8 neck nubs.
Hey,
It was
nice.
top tier.
Yeah, agreed.
Top tier. And with that, we conclude our review of Friday Night SmackDown. I want to thank everybody who has listened to this episode. I invite you to join us for our next episode, which will most likely be our coverage of Monday Night Raw. That said, I don't think there's much for me left to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.